Okay, so in this video, I want to just quickly shine a light on this old Simic list I found, which 5-0'd a league a few years ago. So basically, this is a Simic land-based deck that wants to gain as much value as possible from this card, Tilling Treefolk. So it's 3 mana for a 1/3. It says when it enters the battlefield, you may return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. So this deck is playing a full 27 lands and includes some lands that provide you with some value so that you can hopefully return these powerful lands from your graveyard to your hand with Tilling Treefolk to play or cycle them again. So we've got Culny Garden. It enters tapped, it taps for green, and it says when it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 plant token. Then of course we have Lonely Sandbar, which also enters tapped, taps for blue, and it has cycling for a cost of 1 blue. We of course also have Tranquil Thicket, which is the same, but it taps for green. And we have Radiant Fountain, which taps for colorless, but when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. So then we have a bunch of counter spells and some pretty decent creatures filling out the rest of the deck. So first up, we have Coiling Oracle. It's 2 mana for a 1/1. It says when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So at the very least, it's drawing us a card, which is not bad. And with 27 lands in the main board, this is very often just ramping us for a land. Okay, then similar, we have Elvish Visionary, 2 mana for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Then in this version of the deck, we also have Essence Warden, the green version of Soul Warden. 1 green for a 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Then we have 1 copy of Explore, 2 mana for a sorcery. You may play an additional land this turn, draw a card. Okay, we have a full set of Counterspell, a full set of Exclude, 3 mana for an instant, counter target creature spell, draw a card. Then we also have Sprout Swarm. So this deck seems to be trying to go for a bit of a combo feel here with Sprout Swarm. So it wants to ramp a ton of lands and then basically continuously play Sprout Swarm with buyback, so it returns to our hand as it resolves. So Sprout Swarm is 2 mana for an instant. It says create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, but it also has Convoke. So each creature you tap while casting the spell reduces its mana cost by 1 colorless or by 1 mana of that creature's color. Then it also has buyback for 3. So when you cast it, you can pay 3 additional mana. If you do, you put it back into your hand as it resolves. And then finally, this deck is playing a full mainboard set of Spider Silk Armor. 3 mana for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +0/+1 and have reach. This might be a relic from a different meta when flyers and fairies were even more dominant, that this player felt they needed this in the sideboard, which is probably not necessary for us. So I'm not sure how I feel about this Sprout Swarm win con with the Essence Warden, but I do like this shell of Coiling Oracle, Elvish Visionary, Tilling Treefolk, some value lands, and then some control effects. So I'd be curious to hear what things you might replace for the Sprout Swarm and Essence Warden, like some other win con in these colors. I mean, I know Tilling Treefolk can also be pretty decent with Cradle of the Accursed, which may be something to try here. And I'll quickly look at the sideboard. So it's got Hydroblast, 1 blue for an instant, counter target spell if it's red, or destroy target permanent if it's red. 2 copies of Negate, 2 mana for an instant, counter target non-creature spell. 2 copies of Pulse of Marasa, also an instant. 3 mana, return target creature or land from a graveyard to its owner's hand, you gain 6 life. Then for Graveyard Hate, we have a full set of Relic of Progenitus. 1 mana for an artifact with tap, target player exiles a card from their graveyard. And it also has pay 1, exile Relic of Progenitus, exile all graveyard, and you draw a card. And then finally, as if this player didn't have enough resistance to flyers, they are playing a full set of Scattershot Archer, which I admit is a very good card. It's 1 green for a 1/2 with tap. Scattershot Archer deals 1 damage to each creature with flying. Quite an interesting Simic list, which I think is a decent starting point for some brewing. As always, let me know if you have any ideas. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.